How you doing, guys and gals? It's Doug Wilson from Yellow Hawk Custom Kydex. I've got the Ken Onion Edition WorkSharp with the blade grinder attachment on it. And in this video, I'm going to teach you how to use this thing effectively. So stay tuned and we'll get right to it. How you doing, guys and gals? It's Doug Wilson from Yellow Hawk Custom Kydex. WorkSharp. Most of the questions I see asked on the forums of myself and whatnot, there's a lot of sharpening questions. Every couple of weeks somebody starts a thread about, hey, can somebody teach me how to sharpen? I'm having a difficult time doing this. I'm having a difficult time doing that. Okay? So I figured I'd make a real comprehensive video on this machine. Okay? Now, I enjoy hand sharpening. Okay? I really enjoy it. It's like sewing. It's a therapeutic activity. Alright? But when I want to actually change the edge bevel of a knife, like I did with this, I use the WorkSharp. Okay? And basically what you have here is, this is the Ken Onion Edition. This is the one I recommend that you get. Okay? The other ones, the regular WorkSharp, that takes a lot of practice to use. And in almost all cases, unless you know how to hand sharpen on it, it will severely convex your edge. This one will not. Okay? And before you start arguing and throwing comments in the box, if you're careful, it won't. Okay? Not as bad as that one. This one will put a slight convex edge on it if you do it the way I'm going to show you. Okay? So basically it's a Ken Onion Edition, and this is the grinder attachment. Basically the grinder attachment is there to reprofile knives, do axes, shears, scissors, all kinds of shit. Okay? What I use it for is to reprofile. Especially if I get maybe a chip in a blade or something, you're going to have to reprofile the edge of that knife to get rid of that chip. This is a good machine for doing that. Okay? It's got several adjustments on it. Alright? This is the main drive wheel right here. And the way you take it off is clockwise. You have to twist it clockwise to get it off. But you have to hold on to the bearing to do that. Okay? I'll let you guys mess around with it when you get it. Okay? Main drive wheel. Okay? This is the tensioner right here. These two are the sharpening wheels, you know, that holds everything nice and tight. Okay? It's also got degrees of angle of edge. Okay? And I got this set at about 21. Okay? I don't like to go all the way to 20. I like a 21 degree bevel on most of my knives. Okay, that does a couple of things, especially with CPM 3V. Okay, but let me finish here. It also has a tensioner here. Okay, that allows you to put tension on the spring mechanism that actually makes the whole thing tighter. Okay. But I got it set the way I like it. This portion here is to move the main drive shaft back and front, back to front, so that you can even everything up so that there's not a lot of wear on the bearings that, that shouldn't be there, okay? This thing's got to run nice and smooth. And with these two adjustments, this one and this one, you can get it to run smooth and get that belt to run in the middle. Okay, that's what you're looking for, in the middle of all these wheels. Okay, all these bearings. Okay, that's what you're looking to do. All right, it's real easy to put the belt on. Okay, I'm going to take this belt off. This is the 12,000 grit belt with Smurf poop on it. I like this stuff for power stropping. Okay, I use the 12,000 grit, which is like the purplish one, and it's really smooth. It doesn't feel like it has any grit at all. It does. Okay, and I'll put Smurf poop on it. Okay, so that's the 12,000 grit. Okay, there's that one. Okay, this is extra fine, which this one's white. Okay, it's actually this belt right here. This is fine. All right, then you got your medium grit. You got a coarse grit, and you got an extra coarse grit. This is what you want to take most of your metal off with and form your burr on each side of your edge. Okay, I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay, I'm going to put this on. Now, like I said, I use this machine mostly to reprofile. You put it on, okay? You put it on, and then you snap this guy back so that it tensions, okay? Like I said, I'll let you guys play with it, okay? And then you want to center your belt with your wheel, all right? All right, I got it. Now, I don't set the speed all the way up. I put it all the way up, and then I back it off a little bit. That just saves the motor, okay? These things are rather expensive, and you want them to last. If you treat it right and you blow it out with air once in a while, all right, you blow it out with air once in a while, it'll last a while. I've had this one for a couple of years, okay? I don't know, maybe a year and a half, okay? It's doing great. All right, so here's what we're going to do. Since I'm not a big, huge fan of 0 degree Scandi grinds, traditional Scandis, okay? I'm going to take, and here's what I do. When I get a Scandi grind knife, I'll use it until it needs to be resharpened. Then I change the bevel on it, okay? And what I do is I change it to a 20 degree bevel with a low shoulder convex grind. That's what I call it, okay? Basically what I do is, here's a convex grind right here, okay? Here's a convex grind, here's the edge of the knife, okay? What I do is, I straighten it out a little and bring the shoulders down, okay? So that it's just a little bit of a convex, still very strong, but here's what you can do with it. You can field sharpen it, just like you would on a stone or whatever, okay? So you can still field sharpen this grind. This one is difficult. Got to take a lot of metal off to field sharpen it, okay? That's why I don't like a full convex grind on my edges. Bring down the shoulder, and I bring the convex to a near V, a V edge, okay? So that's what I do, and I do it with this machine generally. I can also do it with Japanese water stones. It takes longer, okay? So here we got a Tops Bob Fieldcraft, all right? The Fieldcraft knife by Tops, all right? It's got a 0 degree Scandi edge on it, okay? We're going to reprofile this to a 20 degree, which is a great feather sticker, a great small woodworking task edge, just an all-around pretty strong edge. Now, I will say this. A 20 degree bevel as opposed to a 25 degree bevel, the 20 degree bevel is probably going to chip easier. But if you're careful with your knives and you're only doing what you're supposed to do with your knife, you won't chip it. Okay? Not unless there's something wrong with the steel, the heat treat's bad, or whatever. Okay? Rockwell's not right. Okay? So we're going to reprofile this, put a low-shouldered convex grind on it, which is, you know, a great all-around, you know, smaller woodworking task edge. Okay? I find 25s to be too steep and too fat. Okay? A 25-degree edge is pretty fat. Okay? So basically what you got is, there's a 25-degree edge, there's a 20-degree edge. Okay? So you're bringing them shoulders in. Okay? All right, so I'm going to do each step and then turn the machine off. And you want to work on this portion of the wheel, right here, just below the top wheel. This is where there's the most tension on that belt, and it won't completely convex your grind. It's important to work right here because the belt is tightest right here, and it's like working on something with a backing. Okay, so that's where you want to work on it. Okay, and this is what you're looking for. All right, you want to set it on the plate. Okay, I can do it without the plate, but if you're new, you need to do it with the plate. Okay, you gotta put it on the plate and then keep it level and move it up to your working surface. Okay, every time you have to do that. I usually don't, not every time, because I feel the grind. Okay, but you're looking for a burr on the other end. Okay. So, but you can't see it, but you can see the burr come up when you're actually sharpening it. It's that silver edge that appears when you're sharpening. Okay, when you're reprofiling. So you're looking for a burr. Once you got a good burr, you turn it over, you get another burr. You turn it over, you get another burr. Okay, and then you switch belts. Okay. Very important to keep this knife completely straight as you're doing this, because if you don't, your edge is going to be all cattywampus. It's going to be fat here, thin here, fat here, okay? See, it's very important to keep it straight. Keep looking at the edge to make sure it's even, okay? All the way around. With every pass, you can see that burr form as soon as you take it across the belt. Okay, I've gotten the burr 3 or 4 times. Okay, now you can pretty much see that the edge is even. Okay, all the way across, even up to the tip. All right, and you can see the rough burr on this side right here. You can see it. That loose metal at the bottom there, that's the burr. Okay, when you get the burr, you want to flip it over, get another burr on the other side. You do that 3 or 4 times, then you go down in your belt grit, okay? Now I've got my WorkSharp fairly tight, all right? You got to pick. I have to feel them because these two medium grits are the same damn color, all right? You want to get it going, and you want to center your belt. Okay, now as you move down in grits, that burr will get smaller and smaller and smaller. Eventually it'll disappear on the finer grits. Okay, I'm going to change the belt, move to the next grit. Okay, this is even finer. Okay, as you move down in the grits, as they get finer and finer, you'll eventually lose that bevel every time you sharpen it. Okay, I'm sorry, that burr that you're looking for. It'll eventually disappear because you're not taking as much metal off with each finer grit. Okay. Well, that didn't work. You gotta always remember to release the spring. Now you want to keep looking at your edge. Actually, every pass you should look at the edge. Okay, you should. To make sure that that edge is even from the back of the sharpening choil all the way up to the tip of the knife. Okay, on both sides, even and the same width. Okay, this is where a lot of knife makers have problems. Their edges aren't even. Okay, so basically what you got with some knives is you got an edge that's like this. Okay, this side's nice and straight and this one's out here. Okay, or this one's way down here and this one's out here. Okay, so you got to keep looking at that edge as you work. Okay, I'm going to change this belt. We're going to move to the white belt. This is the fine. So we're moving down to a portion where we're going to strop. Okay, the finest grit is your power strop. Okay, basically make sure it's centered, pop your spring out, turn it on, center the belt, feel for your burr, and that's the side you start on. want to show you. As you're working it across the belt, you keep that the knife nice and straight. As you get to the tip, you want to release the pressure a little bit and just let it glide across the belt. If you don't do that, you're going to round your tip and ruin the knife, okay? So you got to bring it across with fair pressure, come across, and then lighten up the pressure as you get to the tip and just let it skim across the top when you get to the tip, keeping it straight, okay? Work at the top of the belt here, right next to the wheel. That's where it's the tightest. Guess I should have turned it off before I said that, huh? Alright. Now, like I said, it's usually not that difficult to get them on and off. I just have this one set very firm, okay? Because if you set it firm, that belt is real tight right here, and you don't get that really convex edge that this thing will give you if you're not careful, okay? Alright, now this is the strop, okay? This is what I call the power strop, okay? The finest grit of the belts, okay? And make sure that when you order the grinder attachment, that you get the right belts for it. This is the Ken Onion grinder attachment belts, okay? The other ones are too small and they won't fit it, okay? So you want the grinder attachment belts, okay? Center your belt. All right, now I'm going to power strop it. Alright, see what we got. Okay, it's not bad, okay? It's not super sharp, but it's super sharp, okay? If you want it super sharp, here's what I do. I take an old belt, I put the Smurf poo on it, alright? As it's running. So I take the belt off, the old belt, or the new belt, put the old belt on. Now this one's already loaded with a bunch of stropping compound, but I turn it on and I run it across the belt like this as it's on. Alright? And I load it with compound. Alright? It's already got a bunch on it. And that's where I end it. name of the game is keep that knife straight. Alright, see what we got. Alright, that's pretty good. Alright, so it was fairly dull when I started. So we put a brand new 20-degree cutting edge on this Tops bob. Okay? So now, with the 0-degree Scandi grind done away with, this edge is not so chippy. It's got a low shouldered convex grind on it. If you work in this area, okay, and get that belt pretty tight, and it keeps it almost a V edge, slightly convex with a real low shoulder. Okay, so here's a convex, right? Nice and fat convex grind. Here's a low shouldered convex. Bring the shoulders down. Straighten out the V a little bit, and it's slightly convex with a low shoulder. Okay, so basically I'm looking at it this way: slightly convex with a low shoulder. Okay, all right guys, I want to show you a couple knives. Here's my LMF1. I just finished putting a brand new 20-degree edge on this guy. All right. This one's had a 20-degree. I just touched it up. This is my neck knife from Mike Wallace. All right. There's that. My Pete Kohler Delta Whiskey Backcountry Fighter. All right. Here's the Delta. Oh, there it is. Here's the Delta Whiskey Backcountry by Mike Wallace. Okay. All right. I like my knives to be super sharp. Okay. Are they the sharpest knives in the world? Probably not. But they're as sharp as I can get them. Okay. And they're pretty sharp. Here's a definitive test. Okay, the fingernail test. All right, I've seen a lot of guys go scrape something off their finger, you know, scrape a little bit of fingernail. Yep, that's sharp. that's not how you do it. I think it's funny every time I see it. All right, weight of the knife on top of your nail. Okay, draw it from the sharpening choil all the way to the tip with the weight of the knife. Do it a couple of times. If there's any resistance, if there's any hiccups, that portion of the blade needs to be redone. Okay? Now I can feel a hiccup in there. Right there. That's where the hiccup is. I feel a little bit of drag. Right there. Rest of it's fine. Alright? So I'm going to strop it again. Concentrating on that area. Should be okay. All right. All right, so quick and dirty. That was, I don't know, 28-minute video or whatever, okay, on how to use this machine so that you can get a really fast, really sharp edge. Be careful, guys, all right? This machine, if you're not careful, can throw this knife, and, you know, if you're not careful, just be careful, okay? It's a machine with a motor, okay? And you're dealing with very sharp edges of steel, okay? We all saw what happened to the girl on a loan. She thought she could, you know, baton wood with an axe by holding the wood with her hand. She thought she could, okay? That's like basic woodcraft 101. Do not hold that thing with your hand unless you got a glove on, okay? All right, so that's it for sharpening. I'll see you on the next video. Please like, share, subscribe, and have a good night.